2 weeks ago, an artist named Rapido posted that I hate doing this, but I'm desperate. I'm lowering my prices. And he got 245 retweets. Same week, Sotheby's reported sales up 17%, and both things are true. And by the end of this broadcast, I'm going to show you which side of the line you actually want to be on. That is my opening hook for today's broadcast. My name is Patrick at Art Storefronts. Fired to have you up with me as I'm ranting and rolling along. If you've got questions, marketing related questions, art and photography and creations, marketing related questions, leave a comment. I'm answering. Leave a comment with your questions. I'm just going to pin this. Leave a comment with your question. All right. I'm going to pin that to the bottom. So Neptune's palette. All right, a couple of reasons for the rant today, okay? And I'm always ranting about something on here because I want you guys to get better at your art and your photography and your creation marketing. And I realize in order for that to happen, I have to be coming at you from all different angles again and again and again and again. And that's how it goes. And I'm okay. I'm prepared for that. So I started the hook. Still a little dicey out there, right? Like economically speaking, it doesn't exactly feel like we are in the heydays, right? It still feels bumpy. We still have this whole Iran thing going on. And then what's weird is at the top of the market, okay, and it's important to report on these things because very few outfits out there actually do report on this ever. And let me get the stupid banner out of the way. And one of them is Art Basel. Art Basel and UBS Global puts out a market report. There's like two big entities that put out these marketing reports every single solitary year. And the disclaimer is that it's at the top of the market. But you know what? We don't have anything else. So 7 trends shaping the global art market, right? The global art market returned to growth amid ongoing recalibration. Okay. The US remains the dominant art market. Okay. That's good. Record prices lift auctions, particularly in the second half of 2025. The old masters are outperforming the ultra contemporary. Online sales lose ground a little bit, lowest since 2019. These are the dealers at the very top. Art fair sales increased, so increased person to person. Okay. And you read these stats, right? And you read these reports, and they're always like super, super interesting, but they're also at the very, very top of the market. But the one that I'm going to take away with is for the first time in 4 years, an art market actually grew. Okay. The very top of the market actually grew. And I think that is a fantastic, fantastic thing. So I'm hoping that is essentially us calling the bottom of the market. It is time for this thing to turn around. It is time for art and photography and creations, i.e. your creations, to start selling, right? To start selling. The next thing I want to talk about, and I think this is really, really interesting because for those of you guys that like actually listen to my podcast, and I think all of you should, it's called the Art Marketing Podcast. It's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's on all the places that you might find podcasts, okay? I've been talking a ton all year long about how you can be authentic as an artist, right? How you can post content in, excuse me, in 2026 such that you can actually get attention, okay? How to stop treating your Instagram account the way that you guys all treat your Instagram account. We're going to talk about Instagram in just a second and what specifically to do on Instagram, which is just a proxy for Facebook too, right? But I talked especially about how important live broadcasts are. And I just want to throw this out there because I think it's so funny. QVC filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Okay. The biggest channel, the Home Shopping Network and QVC. Okay. The mainstay of what we all have grown up with. Okay. With the ShamWow guy and the guy slapping that little like duct tape thing on the side of the tank, right? All of those types of things, like that finally went out of business. And the reason that it went out of business is because you don't need a network to go live and sell your creations anymore. You guys can do that direct. You can do that direct from your phone, okay? If you just have 1,000 followers on Instagram. And it's, to be honest with you, it's going to turn into like one of the most important creator marketings. And Yeet Absolute's like, who watches television anymore? Exactly. The problem is Yeet Absolute, the people that do still watch television are the ones that are spending the most disposable income. So we do have to keep that in mind, right? Very, very important. You guys, and I'm stopping and answering questions the whole time. So if you guys have them, let's go. Wayne's like, I signed up a few months ago and I still haven't been able to post my photos on the website only because not that app techie. Wayne, why don't you just have our team do it for you? Just email support and tell them to put the photos up for you. They will do it. You shouldn't be putting those up on your own anyway. We build the website for you, which is handy. I don't want you wasting your time on that. Instead, I want you wasting your time on the marketing. So I wanted to talk about Instagram just generally, okay? Because it's one of these things I've been talking about all year long, okay? All year long. And the reason that I talk about Instagram so much is because Instagram is the most important site for artists and photographers selling their creations, right? It's just basically a giant search engine. Okay. And so what do you guys sell? Visual things. It makes sense to have a giant visual search engine, right? Very important. But really, why I say it's so important, Instagram is just the best proxy for how you get good at selling art, at selling photography, at telling your story on this thing, right? And I keep repeating this all the time, but I want it to sink in for everyone because I don't necessarily like social media. I know you guys don't necessarily like social media, most of you anyway, right? You don't have to like it. We just have to be contrarian about the fact that it's very, very important. Okay. It's very, very important to be on the screen that everyone's on all the time, right? You want to know why QVC went bankrupt? Because everyone is spending their time on this all day long, and television is no longer, for the most part, relevant, right? So we have to be contrarian about uh, 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 you have to be contrarian about knowing how to storytell on that thing. Okay. So we've got that on one front. And then what do we have the entire world talking about? We have the entire world talking about AI right now. And the fact that, yes, AI can make art. And the fact that, yes, AI can clone voices. And the fact, yes, AI can do deep fakes. And how do you know the content is even from a real person? And this is becoming like the next existential, scenario that we're all going to have to deal with online, right? And that's totally okay. Because let me just tell you, I think this is absolutely going to massively favor you guys as artists if you get the memo now, okay, and you start taking the advice to be real. Again, I go back to my podcast. Like just about every episode this year has been to prepare you guys for what is coming relative to this whole AI scenario, okay, and why it's going to be awesome for you artists, right? Like I go back to what I did, the artist guide to Instagram Live, how to know what to sell before you'll create it, why your social media is failing. I give you some prompts to help you out there. How to spring clean your art business, the art selling holidays you're missing out. Why am I going through this? I am doing all of this to prepare you guys for what is to come on social media sites, which is really just on the phone, and how you don't need to worry about it if you guys can just be authentic. Okay. One of the guys that I cite all the time, let me get the banner out of the way. Everybody should follow this account, okay? And the reason is that he's essentially the president of Instagram, I think is what his title is. His name's Adam Mosseri. He's at Mosseri, Osseri. And anyone that's essentially marketing on Meta, either Facebook or Instagram, listens to everything that this guy says. Okay. And the reason that they listen to everything this guy says is because he's constantly dropping hints for what you have to do to dominate the algorithm and be good on Instagram. Okay. Well, towards the end of the year, towards the end of 2025, he wrote sort of like a think piece / diatribe on Threads. I don't know why he wrote it on Threads. Threads is pretty much a dying platform, but whatever. We don't need to get into that. And his title is Authenticity After Abundance. And don't worry, for those of you guys that stick around, I'm going to tie this into why it is such a great time to be an artist creating online, and yes, on Instagram too. Okay. And I see the questions you guys are dropping. Don't worry, I will circle back to them. Creators are going to matter more than ever. Okay. And I'm going to try to zoom in on this even more so you guys can see it. Let's see how big I can make this. So creators matter more. And he's like, okay, power has been shifting from institutions to individuals for years. Okay. Huge for artists. That's why QVC is out of business, right? Because no one needs them to stream anymore. And what we've seen with the creator economy is individuals, not publishers, media companies, or brands, establish that there's a significant market for content from people, okay? From people. And he goes on to talk in this article, okay, and we'll just use his highlights, that what's going to continue to happen in 2026 is the bar is going to shift from can you create to can you make something that only you could create? Okay. Only you could create. And, you know, Instagram is being flooded right now with all of the AI slop. It is just everywhere. It's nonstop. You see it every single solitary time you go into a post and you're like, is that real? Is that really by a real person? Is this even the account that I'm following? And you're like shaking your head, right? You're shaking your head like, is this even good? He goes on to say, Mosseri here, essentially, that Instagram is going to start fingerprinting, okay, real media from real creators. Okay. Let me just say that he is going to start fingerprinting algorithmically content that is made by real humans and real creators. Okay. That is an insanely good and powerful thing for all of you guys. Okay. And not only is that happening, they're already taking like drastic steps on Instagram to get rid of all of these accounts. And let's see, I had this account. Yeah. So, like, case in point, like Daily Art, right? This is one of these sites that has 10 million followers. Okay. 10 million followers and just post art all day from other people, right? These sites used to be huge and you used to have to pay to play to get into these guys. Okay. Look what this one is selling right now. This guy's selling, okay, a barbecue brush right now. He's not selling anything even remotely adjacent to art because he can't pay his bills anymore. And the reason that he can't pay his bills anymore is because they are starting to de-rank, okay, deprioritize any of these accounts that are just curators and that are just sharing all of this art. They are no longer getting free reach. It doesn't matter if their posts get a ton of likes and comments and shares. They're just not getting the juice anymore. And the reason is exactly what Mosseri says here, which is like, we are now going to swing the pendulum. Okay. We are going to swing the pendulum back to the individual creator. Okay. The creators who can maintain trust and signal authenticity. Maintain trust and single authenticity. That is what every one of you guys are capable of doing. You are all, for the most part, individual creators, okay, with individual creations. Yes, you have a problem with the fact that you just share your art too much. Art all day long, which is for sure problematic, but you guys are the individuals, okay? So what I'm seeing is that the biggest social media sites, again, all of them, just a proxy to get on this, right? And like I say the same thing every single solitary time. Like, I want you guys to get off this Instagram live, okay? I'll show you in just a second, Katie. Or Kate. Yeah, she's asking him, as I'll just show right now. His name's Mosseri, okay? Mosseri, and he's the president of Instagram. I think that's what his title is, president. Is that what he calls? And he calls himself head of Instagram and Threads. Okay, somebody was asking, so that's who Mosseri is. You should definitely follow him. Glasses guy, you'll see him. And to be honest with you, it's just like 3 DM features you might not know about. Like, his content is just totally. I realized I was not sharing it. That is dumb. It's really hard to do this on Instagram, by the way, stream when you get the computer and you do the screen sharing and everything else. So he's constantly sharing like what to do, how to think about it, all the new changes of the algorithm. So very, very important follow. Where was I? Downvoting, competition. I had a great point to make. You guys, okay? You guys, the individual creators, the entire pendulum is going to swing back your way, okay? You are going to start getting all of the likes, all of the comments, all of the shares. I'm going to go into this article in a second because it's got good strategies on here for like what is actually working in terms of the algorithm. And I love like how it's swinging already. And I think it's also important to point out that, you know, everything is already moving to anti-AI on Instagram. Instagram intuitively knows that if it lets AI eat their lunch, okay, if it doesn't give individual creators the reach, all of you guys are going to leave the platform and go somewhere else. If that happens, Instagram doesn't have a business anymore, okay? So right now in 2026 is the single solitary best time to be an individual artist, okay, sharing your creations, sharing who you are, okay, and being authentic on this platform. There has never been a better time. You used to have to compete against all those accounts that are the curators, like the one that I showed, right, that shares everyone else's art. You used to have to compete, certainly last year, against all of the new AI slop and the AI content that was coming. You don't have to do that anymore. They are going to start prioritizing the individual creators that can be authentic, okay, can articulate who they are, can show people that they're real human beings, and that post with authenticity. Okay, let's quickly go on this, and I'll finish my rant here. All right, hold on. So what is working 2026? One, like reels are still very, very important. Okay. Very, very important. But everything is shifting. Okay. And here's the originality, the aggregator penalty. Okay. Huge, huge, huge. Longer reels. Okay. Longer reels are now explore eligible. This is a huge, huge deal. But I'm just going to use it. Okay. Carousel limits to 20 slides. And you can now reset the algorithm. Okay. All three of these are huge. I want to talk about each one individually. The longer reels maps, okay, this directly maps to the fact that all they care about right now is how long your content is keeping someone on the platform. Okay. All they care about is how long your content is keeping them on the platform. Why have I podcast all year long about the fact that you just can't share your art all the time? Because your art is not what keeps people on the platform for a longer time. Who you are as a human being is what keeps people on the platform. Who you are as an individual, what makes you tick. Are you a teetotaler or do you like white wine? Are you a dog person or a cat person? What do you do on weekends? Do you garden? Do you paddle a kayak? Do you like to do needlepoint? You play chess? Okay. You do gardening? Whatever it is, if you guys will all just tweak your strategy a little bit to think about your Instagram page, your YouTube account, your Facebook page, your Pinterest account, your TikTok account, your Threads account, whatever it is, all of them have the same algorithm at this point. It can't just be about your art all day. It has to be about you. Who you are as a person, what makes you tick, where your creative eye came from. Okay. None of you guys are posting enough of that stuff. And that stuff is what establishes the authenticity. Okay. That stuff, like your personal content, not just your art, is exactly what he's talking about here. They are going to start fingerprinting who are the actual real human beings creating actual real content that we know with a high degree of certainty is not AI. Okay. And then those people are going to get all of the reach, meaning they're going to get the people, they are going to get more eyeballs on the content that is representative of them, and they're going to get more eyeballs on their art by default, because that's what you guys are primarily sharing, right? That's what you guys are primarily sharing. So this is just a wonderful, wonderful thing to actually, like, we need some real good news here, right? We need a little bit of a leg up against AI, which most artists don't like and which most artists are not using, thank God. Okay. Thank God on that. What else did I have in here that I wanted to talk about? Carousel limits increased to 20 slides. Why did they increase the carousel limits to 20 slides? I'll tell you why. Because it takes someone longer to go through 20 slides than it does 10 slides or 3 slides or 2 slides. What this is saying, what Mosseri is saying here with this, or what Sprout Social is saying, but Mosseri said it too. It's like, do storytelling. Okay. Do storytelling in your carousels. You've got 20 slides now to do it. You do 20 slides, you give the algorithm what it wants. You are going to get more of what you want, which are eyeballs on your art. Just include a little content about who you are as a human being and not just art, 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 art. Okay. What else in here that was very, very interesting? User activity interaction, his Instagram explore page, 5 strategies for using the Instagram post content consistently with a focus on video. I know we all hate video. Why do you think I'm doing a live broadcast here? I hate video just as much as you guys do, but I'm contrarian enough to know that it absolutely works, right? So post the content consistently. Okay. Content calendar, I don't care about that. Captions, I don't care about that. Hashtags is laughable. No one uses those anymore. I don't even know why Sprout's doing that. Spark conversation, post when your followers are active. Don't worry about any of that nonsense. If you guys can just focus, on creating some content that tells the world who you are, if you artists can just stop hiding behind the canvas, okay, and you photographers can stop hiding behind the lens, right? Let us know who you are as a human, what you do when you're not creating art. Then a couple of posts later, show the art. Then go back to explaining who you are as a human being and what you do when you're not creating art. 2026 is going to be an absolutely fantastic time for you guys on Instagram, on Facebook, on Pinterest, on Twitter, on any of them. Just be real, be authentic. And I feel like everything is about to turn. Okay. Absolutely everything is about to turn. The existential question about like, what are we going to do about AI and what's coming? The social networks are already solving it. All of the smartest people in the world are all saying the same thing, right? Like, if human art is not actively protected, it will become invisible and devalued. This is a gal. She was like the LinkedIn top voice in AI, PhD. She's an AI governance lawyer. I think she's an Israeli gal, but neither here nor there. The larger point that I'm trying to make for everyone is, if I could just come to your Instagram profiles or your Facebook pages and learn a little something about you, what makes you tick, who you are, a great thing to say to yourself. And I'm going to put this up on the screen. I'm going to actually type it so I can do this. I want all of you guys to be able to ask yourselves this question before you post the rest of your post this week. What can I post that has nothing to do with my art? Boom. Ask yourselves that. Every single solitary one of you. Okay. Every single solitary one of you. It is absolutely fundamental to letting the world know who the heck you are. Who are you guys? If I come to your Instagram profile and I can't learn in 30 seconds or less a little something about who you are, where you live, what your hobbies are you married? Do you have kids? Do you have pets? What do you enjoy spending your time doing? Do you cook? Do you not like cooking? All of these types of things. That is the authenticity that Instagram wants to see. Okay. That is the authenticity that Instagram wants to see. Okay. Your questions. Will this be posted on your podcast? I'll probably do a podcast episode that's just like this. You definitely, like, if you guys are not listening to these, you need to listen to these. I'm telling you, it's good. We're over 600,000. I think we're almost 700,000 downloads now, which is incredible. But I've started, like, just go to Spotify or go to Apple Podcasts or go to YouTube if you want, and just start at the beginning of 2026. I made the whole thing a series, and by the end of that, you will absolutely be cooking with gas. Okay. Sacred Strings Art. What about using AI as leverage and marketing strategy? Yes, absolutely. All day long do I want you doing that, right? Like, it's not being anti-AI, okay? It's just being pro-human, right? Like, to the extent that you are using AI to help you grow your art photography business, amazing, incredible. Just don't use it to create your art, right? Don't use it to create 100% of your art. I realize there's a fine line there, but that's what we're all sort of just fighting against, right? Like, keep human-made art and human-made art by artists in the forefront. And I think the pendulum is going to become swinging on this so hard. Okay. Sacred Strings Art says, I try to blend in stories about my kids and energetic posts. Very, very good, right? And you don't necessarily need to share everything, but it's like, and I say this all the time, and I know everyone needs to hear it again and again and again and again and again and again. And I need to say it again and again and again, because repetition is just so critically important. But people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. People do business with people they have things in common with. Okay. The biggest problem with individual creators, artists, and photographers, creators of all stripes, really, on Instagram, is you're not giving anyone an opportunity to know, like, and trust you, because we don't have anything to know, like, and trust. Just posting your art, just posting your photography, you are not giving us an opportunity to know who you are, right? Like, when you post a little bit about your kids, oh my gosh, that means you're a mom and you've got kids. Guess what? I have kids. We could probably talk about some of the trials and tribulations that we have as being a parent in 2026, and the screens, in school, and the craziness. And already I know more about you as a human. Okay. More about you as a human. And I'm more bonded to you already just because you shared that one little detail about your kids, right? People do business with people they know, like, and trust, and they have things in common with. How am I, by going to your Instagram profile, going to find anything out about you? That is like the number one test that all of you guys need to take. Your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Pinterest, your whatever. Okay. We need to learn who you are. We need to learn who you are. We need to learn what makes you tick. And from there, it's just going to be about the basics for the rest of 2026. Where we sit right now is a very interesting time. You know, winter, post January, post end of the year is always a little rough, right? For all the aforementioned reasons. Spring season really kicks off with Mother's Day, big art selling holiday. Then there's just a slew of them all summer long. Yeah, you've got Father's Day. Yeah, you've got Memorial Day. Yeah, you've got 4th of July, all great selling art holidays in their own right. And I've talked about this in podcasts too, about why they're important, why they apply to every single solitary one of you, regardless of what kind of art that you are selling. Okay. So critically important. So important to let people know that you exist, to be forming these relationships on the social media such that when these holidays happen, when wallets get loosened a little bit, when the trigger finger comes out, okay, that you have something in the water, okay, that you have something in the water that they can potentially buy. So important. But the basics, okay, the basics. Everything on Instagram, everything on Facebook, everything on the socials is about to swing back to the individual creator. It is about to swing back to the individual artist. Okay. If you are authentic, if you are putting out content that is not AI slop, you are going to get more reach than you ever got before. But in order to do that, there has to be some content about you guys, about who you are as human beings. Okay. Not about art. Here's my art. Here's me making my art. Art. That's it. Right. And I go back to the Mosseri article, right? And this is like a very like important rant that he left on this Threads account. And you can just go to his profile, by the way, and I'm sure he's linked to his Threads account. It's right here. If you guys want to read this, I'm sure. Let's see if it's the first post. I bet it is. Is it? I know he posts everything on Threads. So how are you going to find this? I need you guys to be able to find this. What is the post called? Authenticity after abundance. Authenticity after abundance. But anyway, he's essentially giving all of us the battle plan for what's going to work in 2026, right? And the word authentic, the word individual creators, the word fingerprinted to real humans sharing real content, not AI slide from dribble. Like you have to be a real human. I know I keep banging the drum on this, but I've been saying this for years and no one ever follows it. So I realize it takes reps and sets and repetition. Be a little vulnerable. Okay. Don't be completely suited and booted all the time. Right. Don't act like your life is just this wonderful thing of just polished and primed and perfect and so amazing and so incredible. Right. Be a real human, because all the rest of us are real humans too. And all the rest of us have life. And all the rest of us have imperfect things that are happening, right? And things and things that are not going incredibly well all the time. Okay. And issues with family members being sick, or individual health issues, where you're just bummed out, or you're struggling with weight loss, whatever it is, like all of that stuff, okay, that we all have in life, every single solitary one of us. Because how often do I get how often do I get and I love that question, Kate, I'll deal with that in a second. How do I that took me off rails because I want to answer that so badly. The authenticity, okay, is basically like a measuring stick that they have. And the more real you are, the more authentic you are, the more the algorithm is going to know and the further it's going to go. So it's like all these people that put up these bullshit lives that they're not even living, without any stress, without any strife, without any inner turmoil. Like, people know that that's nonsense. They're over it. The more polished the camera angle is, the more hair, makeup, perfect lighting, all of that. No one cares about that anymore. People are craving the real you, the unpolished, the unvarnished, the just be you, everyone else is already taken mantra, right? And Kate's asking here, like, what if your interest is radical politics? I like it. I like radical politics, because, to be honest with you, like, all too often, and I'm going to answer this two ways, Kate. Okay, I want you to hear this. All too often, we try to appeal to everyone and we appeal to no one, right? We try to be Swiss neutral, and all we end up being is milk toast. It's like, well, I don't want to offend one certain group, and so I'm not going to say any of that stuff. I'm not going to share any of that stuff. And don't get me wrong, there's merit in that scenario in certain situations. But guess what? Like being milk toast, where you're just like, I'm not going to say anything controversial. I'm just not going to say anything that's going to ruffle any feathers. You don't really get all that much action for that, right? Like it ends up just being watered down and neutered down just by default, right? And so if your interest is radical politics, okay, and you know that you are not going to change, okay, and that's very, very important to you, you come to terms with the fact that, you know what, I am going to piss off some people, and it's okay, because they were never going to buy art from me anyway. And in pissing off this certain group of people, I'm going to have at least 50% of the country glomming onto my opinion, right? Depending on how radical your politics are. And I don't want to know, I'm not going to ask. But it's okay to do that if that's your thing, right? And I always get this question all the time, like, when someone wants to glom on to like whatever like the latest social movement du jour is, and there's been a ton of them on both sides of the political spectrum, right? And I got this question all the time, like in the BLM times. I got this question all the time in like the Palestinian Israel war times. And when you do it and it's not authentic, you get yourself into big trouble. Okay, because yeah, you're sensitive to the Palestinian movement, or maybe you're on the Israeli side, or yeah, you're sympathetic to the BLM movement, or this movement, or that movement. But if that's not your entire raison d'etre, don't go try water skiing behind some sort of a social movement unless you want to make it your whole world. If you eat, sleep, live, breathe that, then go all in. If you don't, if you're just doing it to be opportunistic, it gets you in more trouble than you would want to be in, because you're definitely going to offend a large portion of your audience. So that's always the advice that I give, right? Which is if it's you, you can totally go all in on it. Okay, you can totally go all in on it. This is a great question. So, what if my style in photography is not typical pretty images that most consumers want hanging in their home? What if it's more documentary in nature and isn't sale worthy? So you got to stop devaluing yourself, or ordinary American beauty. This is one of the greatest things too about like being online and being someone reliant on an algorithm to take your art and put it out there. The algorithm knows what you've created, and it knows who your audience is. Okay, it just knows. So you can't think for a minute that the nature of your photography is not something that like people want hanging in their homes, because literally every single solitary person has a tribe. Like every single solitary person has a tribe. It doesn't matter if you can't sell to the masses. Like, and sometimes it's way better. Okay, it's way better, right? To appear to a sliver, because then you have this ability to resonate within a silo instead of being spread all over the place. Yeah, and Kate's like, and the people with money are the hard right wing, right? Just putting her hand on her face, because that's obviously not her inclination. Yeah, it doesn't matter though. The hard left wing has a ton of money too. Like I literally think that if you eat, sleep, and breathe like a very like firm opinion about a firm thing, like you can totally incorporate that in. Like you just can't, because there's a huge tribe for either way. And like, look, it's a 50-50 split. Okay, the country, regardless of what you say, okay, there's people in the middle, there's left, there's right, I get that, and it's all tribal and everything else, but there are diehards on both sides, and there are people that'll do business with you just because you believe ideologically what they believe. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I do think you need to think about it, Katie, or Kate. I don't know why I keep saying Katie, because it's the Instagram text is just so tiny. But I do think you need to think about it. All right, what else? Okay, this is awesome. Nope, Justin Stryers, because I thought people did not get this. Real is my universal intelligence UI. I'm ready. I sold. I have a story. I work by the hearth. I like the possibility. Work, long break, good. Love that. Just share a little bit, all of you guys, about who you are and what makes you tick. And I guarantee you, if you start doing that and you start being authentic in 2026, you're going to win. And look, the basics are going to remain the basics, you guys. Be authentic. Okay. Stop hiding behind the canvas. Stop hiding behind the lens. Make sure your art is up on a website. Okay. If your art is up on a website and people have the ability to peruse it and buy it, that is very, very important. That is very, very important. You need to be capturing emails, and you need to be running campaigns throughout the year. That has been the case since the minute websites have started. And online art sales have pretty much been growing as a percentage of the total amount year after year after year after year after year after year, and it's not changing, right? So there's just the basics, the basic boxes that you got to tick. All right, Sacred Art says, what if my brand is all about raising the collective consciousness through the energy of string art is a hands-on experience? Fine, wonderful. Raise the collective consciousness. Just start telling that story, right? And that's the thing. Like, you guys, there is a niche on these doggone social networks for every single solitary type of interest imaginable. The algorithm will find it for you as long as you create content that the algorithm wants, and it can't be just your creations. That's the takeaway. That's just a huge takeaway for all of it, right? Yeah, so Ordinary American Beauty. Why do I feel so stubborn about not hiding behind the lens? I don't know why. My staunch belief is that people don't want to know me in some way. I feel like you're on to something on the other hand. Yeah, because deep down, like, you know what the thing is, Ordinary American Beauty? If I just bumped into you at the coffee shop and we were both waiting for our coffees and, we sat down somewhere waiting for the barista, we would have no problem, you and I, having a conversation, right? You would ask me questions. I would ask you questions. I would find something interesting about you. You would likely find something interesting about me. And even if we weren't going to become best friends after, we'd have that conversation, no problem. And that's really what the proxy is for social media. It's not just you selling your damn creations, okay? That is why you're not going anywhere. That's why you're just getting likes and you're not getting messages and the algorithm is not rewarding you. Just your social media has just got to be a conversation. When I see it, I got to feel like I can get to know you, right? That's the long and the short of it. Like, what does everyone say? I'm terrible online, but I'm so good selling in person. Because you're not selling in person online. You're just selling, and there's no person. Where is the person, right? Prosperity quiz. I don't know. Some of these screen names are so ridiculous. And, I listen to some of these other, and I'm not saying you quiz. I'm just saying I don't know what that word is. And so I see all these podcasts and they're like, these podcasts and these live broadcasts where they're like leaving comments, reading comments, kind of like I just did. And they're from, California Mike 926600512 says, and you know what? I've decided I'm not doing it. I'm picking the easiest part out of your name, prosperity. Okay. Where should I be selling my artwork as an artist who mainly focuses on comics and cartoons? If I went to your profile right now, Prosperity Quiz, could I learn anything about you? Absolutely anything at all? And I just said I wasn't going to use his name. Then I'm just calling him Prosperity. Let's see how he's doing. Okay. So, couple of things here. One, this is at least a photo of you and your boys. Okay. Presumably, great. You've got a daughter. Okay. You and your boys out somewhere at the lake. That actually looks nice. I could be at a lake right now. Just cooling it. So you are putting some stuff in here of you. I love that. Okay. You need a little bit of video to introduce us more to who you are. You need to tell us about, you like basketball, good. Why you love doing comics. Okay. Where you got the idea for comics, right? But you're actually doing a good job at least sharing some personal stuff, right? And what are you at? 461 followers. My guess is you're probably not posting that frequently. Let's just see. Okay, that was 5 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. So you posted 5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and then you took that time off. Oh, I just realized I had your whole thing up and I was like doing it and I didn't realize I wasn't sharing. So let's look at his Instagram profile, right? What was I calling out? There was a good, presumably he's got his daughter there or his sister there. He's showing a little bit of love with him and the family. He's being real, right? And showing some photos, right? But dude, you posted this thing 3 weeks ago. You posted this thing 5 weeks ago. Before that, 5 weeks. Before that, 47 weeks. So you can't just be doom scrolling prosperity on Instagram. You gotta start giving us a little window into who you are. You know what I mean? Into who you are, what makes you tick. Okay. This is a great question. I love this question. Okay. Do I reuse my meaningful story over and over again on social media for the algorithm to have my customer find me? Yes, absolutely you do. Okay. You just mix it up and remix it a bunch of different ways. And oftentimes you can delete the post and then post the exact same post again, because you have to operate under the premise that no one actually saw it. No one actually saw it. Like what happens in real life is social media marketing and marketing in general really is all about serendipity. Okay. Right place, right time. I'm in the supermarket. Okay. Miss Chopsticks. I'm in the supermarket. There's a long line. I pull out my phone. I'm scrolling Instagram. Boom. Miss Chopsticks posted the story right then. I saw it. Otherwise, I never would have seen it. I wouldn't have gone to your profile. Okay. The algorithm wouldn't have showed it to me any other time. It's about the serendipity of just when you share things. So I mean, I find that I have to like bang the drum on the same message over and over and over and over and over and over and over again because no one hears it. No one saw it. You have to operate under the premise that no one saw it, right? That absolutely no one saw what you posted. They just didn't see it, and that's just how it went. Okay. I feel like that was a long rant. I hope you guys got some value out of that and it wasn't just me rambling. Summer selling season is here, you guys. Spring is sprung. It's going to get nicer out. Okay. People are going to be out and about. They're going to be spending money. And whether or not they're spending money on your creations is, are you marketing? Are you being authentic? And do you have your art on a website? If we can get those three things, nailed down, you guys will all start cooking with gas. Okay. You will start cooking with gas. All right. Sacred Strings Art says, give me an idea for a reel. And this is, by the way, a great use case for the use of AI. Like, to give you an idea for a reel, hold up the camera, explain to me what you just said with that comment. There you go. Right. What was her comment before? She said, what about if my art is spreading consciousness, okay, through string art? Well, explain that in a reel. Turn the camera on. Do it right now. Grab this. Primp your hair for a second. Stare at it and start talking to it about what the hell that means, right? Because I don't have any idea and your audience doesn't have an idea. And then just go post it. And thanks for saying that, Marquise. Now I get it. So his name's Marquise, and Keys is just short. That's what people call him, Keys. Short. Got it. It's just hard when it's like all strung together and it's like in this tiny font. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. Thanks for spending some time with me. Hope you got some value out of it. Anytime I'm live, you can ask any questions. I love answering them. And go and subscribe to the podcast. I'm telling you, the podcast is good. It's free. It will help every single solitary one of you because, like I said, we all need to hear these things over and over and over and over again, and we can't hear them enough, right? So, Art Marketing Podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, everywhere and anywhere podcasts are shown. It will be there. And thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and let's get going. Spring is sprung. The summer selling season is here. You still have time to get a Mother's Day sale in the water. People spend a lot of money on Mother's Day, you guys. They spend a lot of money on Mother's Day. You all have mothers. You're all likely going to be spending money on Mother's Day. I'm going to be spending money on Mother's Day. It makes sense, okay? It makes sense to have some art in the water, right? And Janice is like, I've completely lost my mojo. How do I get myself motivated when I'm so disappointed? That is like the up and down roller coaster, by the way, of being a marketer in general. I go through it all the time. I'm going through times where I'm like shipping these lives like it's going out of style all the time, having great conversations. Yeah, we're crushing it. And then it's like, burnout, right? Go for a walk, get some exercise, get back on the horse, right? Got to get back on the horse sometimes. That's just how it goes. It's not supposed to be easy, sadly, right? People are asking about Etsy. Yeah, Etsy's okay. You know, I always say the same thing. I've never met a revenue source I don't like, especially if it's illegal. So Etsy can be okay, but Etsy's like anything else, right? Like the promise of the marketplaces are their downfalls. And what are the marketplaces? And I'll finish on this. Etsy, Fine Art America, Redbubble, Saatchi, Art.com. The other adjacent ones, you could even throw DeviantArt in there. The promise of the marketplace is the problem is that everyone thinks like, oh, marketplace, awesome. I'm just going to go throw my art up there and it's going to sell. No. Now your art's up there. Great. Now you have to market it same that you would if it was on your website. Same as you would if you just had an Instagram profile. You still have to do the marketing. Okay. Yeah, so this is a good one from Wayne. Like, how do I market commercial businesses like pics on an office of a doctor's office? Reason I asked to see art like mine. This one is so easy. All you have to do is get a rolling cart. All you got to do is get a rolling cart. Okay. Get a rolling cart. Put your 7 to 10 best pieces on it, ideally prints, so they're a little bit smaller and not huge. Roll them right into a doctor's office. Okay. No different than all the pharmaceutical reps that do it day in, day out. Roll it right into the office and just go, hey, my name's Wayne. I'm a local artist. If you want to freshen up the art on any of these walls, I'll give it to you for free for 3 months. If it sells, fantastic. We can do a revenue split. If not, you got to enjoy some new art. And then shut up. My guess is if you did that, what is today? Today's Wednesday? Yeah, today Thursday? I don't even know. I've lost track of the days. If you did that, okay, Wayne, there's going to be a number of those receptionists. One, that are like, wow, no one's ever come in and done that. Two, they're going to be like to the other girls in the office, like, all right, let's take a look at this, you guys. Let's take a look. Or they're going to say, yes, we're definitely interested. Can you come back at such and such time? Then you get your art on the wall in the doctor's office. Okay. After the art is on the wall in the doctor's office, and I'm going to circle back to something on this in a second, which is important. After the art is in the wall in the doctor's office, you take a bunch of photos with your cell phone camera. Okay. And with that cell phone camera, you go share all over social media that your art is now in the doctor's office. Then everyone on social media is like, wow, Wayne is really making it. He's getting his art into doctor's office. You have a little social proof. Then you can show that to the next doctor's office and the next doctor's office and the next doctor's office. Like, they never get approached like that. And that's incredible. And I want to say one more thing, because I've been doing this a long time. I know how you guys think. Okay. I know how you operate. Do not overcomplicate the damn deal. Okay. Do not overcomplicate the damn deal. If you walk into an office and you're like, I'm a local artist, here's what my artwork looks like. Would you mind? Would you like to have a couple of pieces in your office? You can totally have them for free. Okay. And if they sell, great. If not, I'll come back and get them in 3 months. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And then shut up. And if they're like, cool, make it easy. Do you know what artists do instead? Okay, no problem. I'm going to have to come back with a contract enunciating our 17 points on what this is and what that is and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And then you screw the whole deal up because you make it too much friction in it. Just get in, Wayne. Just get in. Show them the art. Some are going to respond to it. They're going to be like, that's awesome. We'd love to hang that in here. You can come back and do a little placard with a QR code that links to your website and go do it. It's that simple. It's like you can get one of these carts for nothing, okay, that you could just roll around in the office, or you could get like a print bag and just say, hey, I'm a local artist. I'm trying to get my art out there. If you'd like to hang it for free, it's all framed. It's all ready to go. Here it is. Boom. And you're going to end up like, you probably only need to visit 10 doctors for one to say, you know what? We like this stuff. We'd like to put 3 of them in here, 4 of them in here, 5 of them in here, because the secretaries or the receptionist or whoever it is that's sitting behind that counter, they're the one having to stare at it all day, right? They're bored of it. For sure, they're bored of it. No one likes the art in doctor's offices for the most part. So that's a great way to do that. And that works at any business, by the way. And I know it's scary at first, but once you do that a couple of times, you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And they look like they kind of enjoyed it. So very easy technique and tactic to do that. Not enough people do that. It makes me think I've got to do another podcast episode on that, because I haven't talked about that in a while either. But okay. Summer selling season is coming, guys. Mother's Day, next big day. You can still get your website up, running, ready. Okay. With us for Mother's Day. We'll build it, and you can have a Mother's Day sale in the water. Okay. Do not let the art selling holidays come and go and come and go and come and go and come and go and ask yourself why the art never sells. You got to put yourself out there. You got to be authentic on Instagram. Okay. Come see me on another live anytime. I'm always written. Love your questions. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.